This is Mahesh Kumar, Assistant Professor of Chemistry. Today's the topic of in the environmental sustainability. Today's topic is environmental legislation. In that, we are going to discuss about the Water Act and Forest Act. Water Act and Forest Act. What are the uh, acts we are going to discuss in this Air Act, Water Act, Forest Act? Today's we are going to discuss about the Water Act and Forest Act. Topics to be covered in this is what one is Water Act, the next one is Forest Act. One is Water Act, next one is Forest Act. Now coming to what actually this environmental legislation is. Environmental laws are the laws that protect the environment. Environmental laws are the laws that protect the environment. Is a collection of laws, regulations, agreements, and common law that governs how women interact with their environment. Here, the protection laws that protect the environment and the collection of laws, regulations, agreement, and common law that govern how women interact with their environment is nothing but the environmental legislation. This includes environmental regulations, laws governing the management of natural resources such as forest. One is a forest, next one is minerals and fisheries related topics such as environmental impact assessment, that is EIA. Environmental impact assessment. This includes environmental regulations, that is laws governing the management of natural resources such as forest, minerals, and fisheries. Forest, minerals, and fisheries and related topics such as environmental impact assessment, that is EIA. Environmental law is seen as a body of laws concerned with the protection of living things. It is nothing but the body of laws that concerned with the protection of living things. It includes human being from the harm that human activity may immediately or eventually cause to them or the species either directly or to the media and the habit on which they depend. Here, the environmental law is seen as a body of law concerned with the protection of living things. Here, this law is nothing but the concern with the protection of living things. In that, again, human beings are there and biotic and abiotic components from which the harm, the human activity may immediately or eventually cause to them or to their species, either directly or to the media and the habits on which they depend. Is nothing but environmental legislation. What actually the pollution is? In the Water Act, the Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, here the Water Act, Prevention and Control of Pollution 1974 is given how we are going to preserve the water and how we are going to control the pollution due to the water. Environmental pollution. What actually the definition of environmental pollution? Environmental pollution is nothing but it is any type of contamination of water, such as alteration of physical, chemical, biological properties of the water, such as discharge as it likely to cause or nuisance or render the harmful or injurious to public health and safety or harmless for any other use to aquatic plants and other organisms or animal life. It is nothing but the contamination of water, such as alteration of physical, chemical, or biological properties of water or discharge as is likely to cause nuisance, harmful to the human being and the environment, and also injurious to the public health and safety, or harmful to any other use or aquatic plants and other organisms is nothing but pollution. Any substance that creates the pollution is nothing but environmental pollution. Pollution due to the substance, either physical or chemical or biological activity, is nothing but the pollution. Pollution that occurs in the environment is called as environmental pollution. Environmental pollution. The contamination of water or such alteration of physical, chemical, or biological properties of water, such as discharge as it likely to cause a nuisance or render the harmful or injurious to public health and safety or harmful for any other use to aquatic plants and organisms or animal life is nothing but the water pollution. How we are going to preserve? Okay, provisions for this Water Act 1974 is there are some provisions given by this act. It provides for the maintenance. Okay, the act provides for the maintenance and restoration of quality of all types of surface and groundwater. Okay, there are types of water in that surface water and groundwater. Uh, the main aim of this Water Act Prevention and Control of Act 1974 is given that it provides for the maintenance and restoration of quality of all types of water. Quality of all types of water that includes surface water as well as groundwater. It provides for the establishment of central and state board for pollution control. It provides for the establishment of central and state boards for the pollution control. It confers them with power and functions of control for pollution. Okay, it aims to be provide protect the powers and functions to the control pollution. The act has provisions for funds. Okay, it gives funds, budgets, accounts, and audit of central and state pollution. Okay, the control boards, the act has provision for the various penalties for defaulters. Okay, this act gives the penalties for the defaulters and procedures for the same. The main regulator body are the pollution control board, which has been conferred the following duties and powers. The Act has provisions for the various penalties for defaulters and procedures for the same. The main regulator bodies are the pollution control boards, which have been conferred for the following duties and the powers. These are some of the provisions of the Water Act 1974. Okay, the maintenance and restoration of quality of water provides for the establishment of central and state boards for the pollution control and powers and functions to the control pollution. And the Act also provides funds, budgets, and accounts audit of the central and state pollution. Act has provision for various penalties for defaulters and procedure for the same. The main regulator body are the pollution control boards, which has been conferred the following duties and powers. What are the Central Pollution Control Board gives some provisions. It advises the central government in matters related to prevention and control of water pollution. It advises the central government in matter related to the prevention and control of water pollution. It also coordinates the activities of the state government, central government, state pollution control boards, and provides them technical assistance and guidance. It also organizes a training program for prevention and control of pollution. Okay, the Central Pollution Control Board also organizes some training programs in order to prevent the pollution and control the pollution. It also organizes the comprehensive programs on pollution related issues through mass media. Collects, compiles, publishes the technical statistical data related to the pollution. Prepares manuals for the treatment and disposal of sewage and trade effluent. Lay down the standard for the quality parameters. Plan nation wide program for the prevention, control, or abatement of pollution. Establishes and recognizes the laboratories for the analysis of water, sewage, or trade effluent sample. These are some of the provisions given by the Central Pollution Control Board. Central Pollution Control Board gave the following provisions for the control of and preservation of pollution. Pollution Control Board also have the similar functions, like Central State Board also have the similar functions to be executed at the state level or governed by the direction of Central Pollution Control Board. It is under the guidance of Central Pollution Control Board. The board advises the state government with respect to the location of any industry that might pollute the stream or a well. The board advises the state government with respect to location of any industry that might pollute a stream or a well. It lays down the standards for effluents and empowered to take samples from any stream, well, or trade effluent or sewage passing through an industry. State board is empowered to take legal samples. State board is empowered to take legal samples of trade effluent in accordance with the procedure laid down in the Act. The samples taken in the presence of occupier or his agent is divided into two parts. It has been divided into two parts. One is sealed, signed by the both parties, and sent for the analysis to same recognized lab. The sample do not conform the prescribed quality of water standards, crossing the maximum permissible limits, then consent is refused to the unit. Okay, if it is good only, then it will be accepted, then it will be rejected. The state was empowered to take the legal samples of the trade effluent in accordance with the procedure of the laid down in the Act. Here, every industry has to obtain consent from the board by applying on prescribed performer, providing all technical details along with the prescribed fee following which effluent is carried out. The board suggested the efficient methods for utilization, treatment, and disposal of trade effluents. Here, the State Pollution Control Board has suggested the efficient methods for the utilization, treatment, and disposal of trade effluents. Disposal of trade effluents. These are the some of the provisions of the State Control Board and the Central Control Board. State Pollution Control Board and the Central Pollution Control Board. The Act deals with the conservation of forest. Forest Act 1980. Okay, now coming to the next, that is Forest Act 1980. The last we are going to discuss about Water Act 1974. Now it is coming to Forest Act 1980. The Act deals with the conservation of forest. This Act deals with the conservation of forest. Here, the state government has been empowered under this Act to use the forest only for forestry purpose. The main aim of the Forest Act 1980 is the Act is to provide the forest only for the forestry purpose, not for the unwanted use in any other way. It has to take a prior approval of central government, after which it can pass orders for the declaring some part of reserve forest for non-forest purpose. For example, mining or for clearing some naturally growing trees and replacing them by economically important trees. Okay, here this act is mainly the Forest Act 1980 is mainly the forest is only used for the forestry purpose, not for the other purposes. If it want to allow use other way, then it takes the prior approval. It has to be taken approval from the central government. Then only we can use the forest for the forestry purpose. Otherwise, otherwise we cannot use the forest for the forestry purpose. After which it can pass orders for the declaring some part of the reserve forest for non-forest purposes. Example, mining. Example, mining for clearing some naturally growing plants and trees, replacing them by economically important trees. It make provision for the conservation of all the types of forest, and for the purpose there is a advisory committee which recommends funding for its to the central government. Okay, there should be some central advisory committee which recommends the funding for it to central government. Any illegal non-forest activity within the forest area can be immediately stopped under this act. Any illegal non-forest activity within the forest area can be immediately stopped under this act. Non-forest activities include clearing of forest land for cultivation and any type of crops. Construction work is in the forest for the wildlife or forest management is exempted for non-forest activity. Example, fencing, making water holes, pipelines, checkposts, etc. All these are the some of the non-forest work or construction work in the forest for wildlife or forest management is exempted from the non-forest activity. In the 1992, the amendment in the Forest Act has been implemented. It has given some provisions. Okay, provisions for allowing some non-forest activities in the forest. Provisions for allowing some non-forest activities in the forest without cutting or trees or limited cutting with the prior approval from the central government. These activities of setting of transmission lines, seismic surveys, drilling, and hydroelectric power projects. Wildlife sanctuaries and national parks are totally prohibited for any exploration or survey under this act without a prior approval of central government. Cultivation of tea, coffee, spices, rubber, plants which are cash crops are included under the non-forest activity. The non-forest activity are the cultivation of tree, coffee, spices, rubber, and the plants which are cash crops are included under this non-forest activity. Cultivation of fruit bearing trees, oil yielding plants are the plants of medicinal value in the forest are needed for the first approved by the central government. Comes under the forestry acts. Okay, forestry. Here are the cultivation of fruit bearing trees, oil yielding plants, plants for the medicinal use, and the forest area need for the first approved by the central government. Next, tusser cultivation is a type of silk yielding insect in the forest areas by tribal as a means of livelihood is treated as a forest activity as long as it does not involve some specific host tree like Arjun or Asam. Okay, plantation of mulberry for rearing silkworm is considered as a non-forest activity. Mining is a non-forest activity and the prior approval of central government is mandatory. Remove of stones, bargery, etc. fall under non-forest activities. Any proposal sent to central government for the non-forest activity must have a cost-benefit analysis, environmental impact statement of the proposed activity with reference to the ecological and socio-economic impacts. Okay, these are the some of the provisions that given by the tusser cultivation, a type of silk yielding insect in which the forest areas by tribal people as means of their livelihood is treated as a forestry activity as long as it has been does not involve as a specific host tree in the Arjun or Asam. Plantation of mulberry for the rearing silkworm is considered as one of the non-forest activity. Mining is a non-forest activity and there is a prior approval of central government is mandatory. Removal of stones, bargery also fall under the non-forest activity. Any approval sent by the central government for the non-forest activity must have the cost benefit uh, analysis and the environmental impact statement of proposed activity with reference to ecological and socio-economic is compulsory for the cultivation of cluster cultivation in the forest area. So, coming to the references for this are Robertson, Margaret, Sustainability Principles and the Practices, Tyler and Francis Group 2007 is one of the reference for the environmental sustainability and the General of Sustainability Education responsible for the teaching sustainability in the context is also one of the references for the environmental sustainability. These are the two references we are using for the environmental sustainability. One is Robertson Margaret Sustainability Principles and Practices. Year 2017, Responsibility for Teaching Sustainability in the Context, General of Sustainability Education. These are the two sustainable books for the references. Next, thank you.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.